It's been an uncomfortable day for Rishi Sunak on the general election campaign trail, with criticism of his decision to leave D-Day commemorations in France earlier than other political leaders. The Prime Minister departed after ceremonies honouring British and Allied troops who died during the Second World War. That meant he was absent when a second event took place in the afternoon, while other world leaders were in attendance. He left to do an interview in the UK and insists his schedule had been planned far in advance. But there's been a wave of criticism. This is how a pulled interview went as he campaigned at a nursery in Swindon in West London.
These men made the ultimate sacrifice, and you couldn't even sacrifice a whole afternoon. Ken Hay, a 98-year-old D-Day veteran, told us that you let the country down. Is he right?
I participated in events both in Portsmouth and in France over 2 days because this is an incredibly important moment for our country to commemorate the sacrifice of all of those and their service. And it was a real honour and a privilege to meet many veterans and speak to them and their families, hear their stories, express my gratitude to them and build on our record of making sure that this is the best country in the world for veterans.
Prime Minister, you didn't care, did you?
No, I cared deeply.
Then why didn't you stay?
As I said, the itinerary for these events was set weeks ago, before the general election campaign. I participated in events both in Portsmouth and in France, and having fully participated in all the British events with British veterans, I returned home before the International Leaders event. That was a mistake, and I apologise for that, but I will always be proud of our record in supporting veterans here in the UK. We have a dedicated Office for Veterans Affairs, the first Veterans Minister sitting in Cabinet, and a range of programmes to support them with health, housing, employment needs. That's something that I've worked very personally on because it's personally important to me. And as I said yesterday and the day before, I had the privilege of speaking with many veterans and their families to express my personal gratitude to them for their service to our country and to honour what they and their colleagues have done for us.
We're in an election campaign. Keir Starmer managed to stay for the whole event. You didn't. What does that say about your judgment, your priorities and your character?
As I said, the itinerary for this set of events was set weeks ago, before the election campaign even began. So I don't think it's right to politicise these things. I stuck to the itinerary that had been set for me as Prime Minister weeks ago, before the election, fully participated, expressed my gratitude to the veterans.
You feel no shame at all?
As I said, on reflection, it was a mistake not to stay longer, and I've apologised for that. But I also don't think it's right to be political in the midst of D-Day commemorations. The focus should rightly be on the veterans and their service and sacrifice for our country.
It's the veterans who are saying that you're letting the country down. Are they politicising this?
No, I've apologised for not staying longer. On reflection, that was a mistake. I did have the privilege and the pleasure of meeting many, many veterans and their families over the course of the past 2 days and expressing to them my personal gratitude for everything that they have done, hearing from their stories and making sure that right now we are getting veterans across the country all the support they need, whether it's with housing, health, employment opportunities. That's something I think is very important, something I've championed from the first moment I became Prime Minister, and our track record on that is clear for everyone to see.
Let's just run you through some of the reaction to Mr Sunak's decision to leave the D-Day commemorations earlier than others. So Keir Starmer, Labour leader who attended events for the entire day in France, said there was only one place he was going to be and added that Mr Sunak will have to answer for his own actions. Mr Sunak's own Veterans Minister, Johnny Mercer, said his boss's actions look bad, it is bad and it's not the right thing to do. He added he is obviously disappointed with the way it's turned out and rightfully apologised. The leader of Reform UK party, Nigel Farage, said Mr Sunak had shown he was completely disconnected from the centre of this country and that he is basically not a patriotic leader of the Conservative Party. Immigration